Hey, welcome back to the SME. Working on this Revell Jaguar, and I finished the interior as well as the suspension components on the chassis. So enjoy the video, and if you have any questions, just leave me a comment. I'll answer it. Thanks. Here's a reference picture of what I plan to do with the interior. Just simple navy blue with chrome trim. So first I start with putting real light coats using a 0.2 tip in my airbrush. This is 2 parts of blue with 1 part flat black, applied in super thin coats. It took about 4 coats to get it. The combination of the gloss blue with the flat black makes for a nice sheen. It's not quite glossy, it's not quite flat. It's just right to depict a leather interior. As you can see, I'm doing the interior floor now in the same color as the seats and the door panels. It was kind of hard to get into those little spots there. For the dashboard, I went with a semi-gloss black. And let's throw some decals on here. I'm using Mr. Mark Setter because it's a super strong setting solution. I left the little knobs in place, and I'm going to cinch the decal down over those little knobs to give it a 3D effect. Aren't you glad I cut most of the footage out? This took about a half an hour to do just one little decal, but if you keep working at it, the results are worth it. Moving on to other decals, we got radio face, dials, this little indicator up here, and then I'll grab some paint and hit the little knobs. This is that cheap dollar store brush I used in the other video. And there you go. Looks pretty good, huh? While I had the chrome already out, I decided to hit these little buttons on the interior door panels. And then on the stalk for the turn indicators, as well as the shift knob. For the interior door panels, I cut some Hasegawa Tri-Tool Mylar Chrome, an ultra thin strip there, and then kind of placed it right where the chrome would be on the door panels. Kind of work with it, and then smooth it all out once it's in place. I really like this stuff a lot better than bare metal foil. Just seems a little easier to work with when you're using real thin strips like this. Put on this armrest, and there's a chrome strip that goes on the armrest. This was kind of tedious. Just basically put it in place, roll it on, and then trim the edges. And using a pair of tweezers, you can take off the excess. And voila. Oh, let me fix that little spot right there. It's like microsurgery. Next step is to put the window crank and the door opener on. They're keyed, so they can only go one way, luckily. They were a little tough. And there's the completed parts of the interior. Moving on to the exhaust, I use this Tamiya weathering kit to add some coloring to the exhaust system. Just a little bit of color. It's not a whole lot. Some people like to go crazy and paint all this stuff, but I like this weathering kit. It just adds just a little bit of color, a little bit of discoloration to the exhaust system. Makes it interesting. Instead of ordering 3D printed wheels, I decided to use the kit pieces. So I used some panel liner to fill in all the little cracks and crevices here. And then put it all the way around. And then take a Q-tip and wipe off the excess. I think they look pretty good. Passable. Here's a picture of what I want the final chassis to look like. Just nice and clean. This was definitely a princess car. So that's what I'll make my model look like. Just nice and clean. This one really irritated me. The brakes are integrated with the rear axle, and so therefore I had to brush paint those brake calipers. You guys know I hate brush painting anything. Also, when I 2K cleared the chassis, it got into the holes and therefore made everything a lot tighter than it should be. So I had to put a little extra effort into mounting these parts. But little glue, everything will be fine. As you can see, had to push these into place. Should have made those holes bigger instead. Shocks were a tight fit. Hindsight, open up the holes on yours. Everything will fit a lot better. This piece went on real easy. Remember when I was doing the test fitting and I showed that the exhaust didn't want to go into those little holes, and I said, well, the only way to really fix that is to just hard glue it. So I put a death grip on it and just kept pressing and gluing, pressing and gluing, pressing and gluing, and it all fit. Front suspension, again, the holes are kind of tight. So hindsight, I think I may take this back apart and re-drill those holes out because this thing will never steer. It barely moves at all. I'll fix that before next video. Looks good though. Struggling, struggling, struggling. Yeah, not moving at all. Moving on to the interior, I used the same process that a few other YouTubers are using for the wood grain. Basically paint it brown, throw some highlights in it, and then clear orange over it. I think it looks pretty good. Gear shift, emergency brake. Just kind of dropped right in place. I didn't want this one to move at all, so put a little stronger glue on that. And put it in place. For the dashboard, there's only one real way it goes, and you have to kind of find exactly that place. So you glue it down here, but then when you go to put the door panels in, which can be a little tough when you put 2K clear on your chassis, fill all the holes in, as you can see, struggle, 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 boom. There it is. Yeah, that's better. Put a little glue on it. This one, nice little pop. So satisfying. Little glue. Little more glue. Seats, hate it when they pop out. So these aren't going anywhere. Line them up, make them straight. And perfecto. Looks just like the picture. I think these wire wheels look pretty good. I'm pretty happy with them. They mount real easy to the pins. No struggle. And it sits flat on all fours. Woo! Looking pretty good, isn't it? Nice, you monkey Kiko. Next week, I'll tackle the engine and finish up the body and wrap the whole thing up together. If you enjoyed this video, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and leave me a comment. Thanks. I'll see you next time. Bye.